Welcome to the
Thought,
show.
thought it was going to take you forever to find the record button.
Well, this is my first time doing this, so
Indeed, it
I'd
is.
appreciate a little grace.
Speaking of, welcome to episode 6 of the
Nope,
Life.
nope. We're on episode 7, my bearded beau. Thank
Okay,
you very
whatever.
much. Look who's remembering
Episodes,
the right number this time. I just want to.
episode 6, 7. I am Justin DeWeese. That is my lovely wife, Ashley DeWeese. We are the DeWeeses. She does dumb things with her hands from time to time. You're just going to have
I
to deal
am
with it.
very powerful with my hands. Thank you very much.
Well, I can't argue with that. But that is a conversation for another day.
Did you
Car
say the
is
name?
on.
Did you say the name of our show?
Yeah, I said it
Okay.
right up from the front. You were busy wallowing in
I
your
was busy.
rightness of having the right episode number, so you just didn't hear me say it. But in
You
case
know,
I didn't, it's a Life Unfiltered podcast.
You should really stop saying things that make me laugh on this podcast because every time I'm doing the editing, I'm like, man, your face looks really red.
Well, I have to say things that make you laugh. That way, all of our friends on Instagram can maybe learn that I do indeed have a personality.
Oh my word. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it just doesn't deserve the time. But let me just say, and again, we've been, living life on social media for long enough. Like this is not new territory for us, but it has
Not
been
surprising.
so entertaining the variety of comments that we get depending on what we're talking about. And of course, if you talk about more prevalent out there topics like Travis, Trailer, Travis and Taylor, you really get the haters coming on. And here's the one thing I want to say is that it just continues to blow my mind how much people allow other people to get inside their head,
Right.
living rent free. Because some of the comments that we've got, whatever, but it's like, you're actually somewhat emotionally attached, meaning these people, like you're emotionally attached to the things that we're saying, like that you feel the need to come in and like defend and whatever. And also, like, just our world today that you just can't have an opinion. I mean, you can, but you can't have an opinion without someone getting all up in your ass about it.
Well, and the amazing thing is that like none of these things were like, oh well, okay, listen, I appreciate your opinion, but I think you're wrong, and here's
Here's
the evidence as
why.
to why.
Right. It's just
No, it's
like,
just you're a doo-doo head. I don't like your opinion. Okay, cool. Thanks for joining the conversation. Like,
yeah, I mean, it has been about as elementary as that. And also just like the runaway train of stories, like
right.
taking like one thing that was said and then creating this huge novel about it that it's like, wait a minute, that's not
Well,
even
yeah,
what was said.
it's like, oh, okay, this guy said the sky is blue. I guess he's never seen the orange sky at sunrise, never seen it pink at sunset. Huh, he doesn't know anything. He must hate the sky. What?
It's whatever. I love it. Bring it on. We appreciate any sort of comments because, hey,
Believe me, believe me when I say, no matter what you say in the comments, I have had worse things said to me face to face.
right, right. So
Promise you.
it's cool.
I grew up
Anywho,
in these streets,
these
the mean streets
streets,
of Haas Circle.
a circle in Manhattan, Kansas, not
That's
to be
right.
confused with the Big Apple. We're in the
No,
Little
no,
Apple. Thank you very
no.
much.
We're in the, well, we won't even go there today.
I know we look like we belong in the Big Apple, but
Why?
you
Because
know,
I look homeless today. You're
you
wearing
don't.
half a
I
sweatshirt.
love that tie-dye shirt. We made those shirts. I mean, obviously he made his,
Well, I made
but
this one.
you did make that one. But we all have ones like that, and I think they're one of the best crafts we've ever tackled.
It
And we
is
don't
entertaining. It's one of those things that it takes more than you think it'd take.
all crafts take more than you think
Well,
it
no, no,
will
no, no,
take.
no. From the standpoint of when you get all the little rubber bands on and you got your nifty little design all into your sweatshirt and then you give it a little squirting,
Mm-hmm.
like it always takes more squirting than you think it's going to take, right? Like you put some
Always.
on there and you're like, oh, well, that's pretty red. I can just stop there. No, 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 man. It's not going to get to the center.
Could you
Yeah.
have said any color but red? Please.
Why?
No, but the thing here's my problem with like specifically tie dyeing, which I love the outcome. Everybody loves the outcome. Not everybody loves the work you got to do.
Right.
But I lack so much control over the end product because all you can do is just take the actions that they tell you. And then even
Right.
when you do, it's still probably not going to come out exactly as you have envisioned it. Often it comes out even better. Sometimes not so much, but usually
Right.
it comes out even better than what you could have imagined. And, there's just a little on the fly, off the dome golden nugget for any sort of goal that you're working on. You want the results, got to be willing to put in the work, and you got to be able to give up a little bit of control over the outcome and just focus on the steps you need to take to get there. And it is inevitable that you will get to where you want to go, and it'll probably be even more amazing than you thought it would be.
Boom,
That's
look at
it. We
that.
don't we don't even need to do any more of the podcast today.
I'm good with that. 6 minutes in, hit the button.
Wow, shortest ever. We're quick like that.
Well, listen, anytime you can get a little bonus coaching nugget from my little nugget over there,
Hey,
it's going to be a good day.
it is. It is.
Speaking of good days, this is your favorite kind of day because we woke up to a little bit of a surprise when we looked out the window.
You know
There's
how I
snow
like
on the ground.
surprises.
There's
I
snow
like
on the ground.
surprises if they're the right surprises. But yeah, there's
And
snow
it's
on the
still
ground.
snowing.
And it was just like super warm and sunshiny. And like, I'm like, yes,
Well,
spring is on its way. We are done with this ish. And now it's like
no, bro,
the
we live in
second
Kansas.
coming.
We live in Kansas. We weren't going to be done with it. Like,
Well,
I knew
some
it was
days
coming at
I
some
try to
point.
pretend we're not living in the land of Oz.
But, and again, we live in Kansas. So, as a person that lives in Kansas, oh, I'm the responsible one in the house. So, I check the weather every day to see what's coming down the pipe
Or
so
you're
that I
just
can
the
make sure
older one in the house
that
that
we're prepared.
checks the weather every day.
Wow.
I make fun of you, but I'm really glad you do because I come to you and
Yeah.
say, what
See,
should I wear?
she mocks me for my responsibleness. It's great.
It's
But
still
anyway,
funny.
there really wasn't snow in the forecast because, again, if you live in Kansas, you look for things like snow and storms and just because you never know.
Right. You don't. You really
And
don't.
so we were surprised today, and it got me thinking. And obviously, we go down the rabbit hole weather forecasts, but we're not going to do that. But it got me thinking that, you know, this kind of thing happens a lot to people in life, and they're not checking the forecast, right? So,
Yeah.
for example, I am surprised that she cheated on me. I can't believe she would do that to our family. To be clear, footnote, this is not about us. This is a metaphorical example that has not ever happened in my life.
Facts.
Okay. Back to the story. Oh my gosh, she cheated on me. I'm so surprised that my relationship is falling apart. Are you? Have you been checking the forecast? Have you been doing the things that keep a relationship going? Like, have you
Well,
been?
it's not, are you surprised? It's more like, it is out of the blue. Is it out of the blue? Like people are surprised because they're not checking the forecast, right? A lot of people are not checking the forecast, but I think your microphone just turned off, or you
I
just
hit
turned it.
that nifty little button. Such
You
a
didn't.
pain in
You
the
didn't do your
ass.
little trick. He told me.
No, I did. See, look, it's
Oh,
upside down. I still managed to screw it up.
I thought maybe we had
Amazing.
one of those haters hack in and mute your
Ha.
mic. That
No,
would,
but anyway,
yeah.
you're right. Like they shouldn't be surprised, but in
But it,
reality, they are surprised.
right. And
But
they're like, what?
again,
What?
like, were you spending intentional time with your spouse? Were you actually intentionally trying to grow a relationship? Right. And another example, I'm surprised I put on these 40 pounds. I,
Right.
I where did this come from? Really? Maybe it came from all the sodas and nachos and this and that
Mm.
and the other thing that you just cram in your cram hole every opportunity.
Well, it's not, the phrase ignorance is bliss. No, it's
Right.
not.
No.
It's not bliss because when you stay out of the loop in your own life, things are still happening. and you will still be impacted by those things happening, even if you want to play dumb, to
Well,
put it bluntly.
sure, sure. And to be clear, ignorance can be bliss. So Stephen Covey teaches this concept of the circle of concern and the circle of influence, right?
Yeah.
And the circle of concern is the tiny little thing of things that I can actually influence and change
Right.
myself, my family, my job, my household, blah, blah, right? That's my circle of concern. My my circle of influence, my circle of concern is everything else in the world, will
But
Russia nuke us? Will this happen? Will that happen? Blah, blah, blah. Ignorance is bliss on some of those things out there, right? Like I don't need to know everything about Russia and
Right, because you don't have
whatever.
control over it anyway.
Right.
And you would be
Right.
far more impactful in creating some sort of wave or ripple effect by
Right.
staying focused in your circle of influence.
Right. And so, but now that I'm thinking about it as we're rolling through this, like I think that's where people end up getting twisted up, right? Because they get to thinking like I spend so much time concerned with will the stock market crash, with Russia, with Palestine, with blah 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 blah, and not enough time focused and thinking, am I spending enough time with my wife? Am I focused on eating the right things? Am I moving my body every day?
Well, because when you say that, it's not that we shouldn't be aware of things that are going on
Right.
out
For
there,
sure. For sure.
but you know, with some sort of major happening like that, you're going to want a solid foundation in your
Right.
relationship, in your home. You're going to want to be at peak level physical fitness if something were to happen that was going to require that of you in, a natural disaster or something. And again, like those are things that you don't, whether by choice or just it seems so far-fetched or we just get too comfortable in our way of life here in the United States. um, you just don't think it's ever going to come to that, right? And you don't make the connections between like my physical fitness and some of these big world issues.
Right.
We don't make that connection. And it's also, it's a lot easier to talk about and get caught up in things that you do already know you don't have any sort of control over, because then it doesn't require you to put in any sort of work or do anything differently in your life. But if I start actually focusing most of my time and effort and energy
Right.
on my circle of influence and things aren't improving in my life, then I have to take responsibility for that.
Right. Right.
Everybody
Spend
knows.
focused time with my kids. Oh, no thanks.
Right. It's
Right.
it,
And
I'm part of the reason that, they act the
right.
way that they do, or I'm part of the reason that
Right.
we've got the financial issues that we have. Like, what? No,
Right.
it's other people's fault.
Meanwhile, you're on the internet every day studying up as though Biden's going to call you for your opinion on the Russia situation. Hey, what do you
Right.
think we ought to do here?
Well,
Nobody knows. No,
and let's even like dial it back a little bit, because
let's.
there's people out there, and I probably am certainly one of them, that I'm really like, sorry, not sorry. I'm less caught up in like big picture. I probably need to be a little bit more caught up in big picture things going on in the world. I'm less caught up in that than I am allowing just uh more immediate external people's lives. That's like a terrible phrasing, but my point is like other people's lives, like celebrities or friends, family, acquaintances. I lose more time and energy actually paying attention to like those things than anything
Right.
else. And I think a lot of people do. I mean, of course, plenty of people are definitely caught up in politics and world events, etc. But I say this layer because I think it's one of the like not hidden, but it's like one of the layers that it's easy to like just not even think about, how you're spending so much time and energy in your life concerned about what's going on in your favorite celebrity's life. Again, guilty. Or what's going on in this person's life that you went to high school with, and did you see that, or did you see what they're doing, or
Right.
even people that you're friends with or acquaintances with. just paying attention to those things. And again, all of that, like, what's that doing for you in your life? How is that making you better as a human? How is it making your loved ones better? How is it making your life better in any area? And I know, if you're listening to this podcast, like, you're going to get a lot of this kind of talk around progressing and improvement and becoming the next best version of you. And, not to get into faith today, but I was reading in one of my new books that the kids got me for my birthday. Thank you for assisting them in that I also bought myself for my birthday.
Yeah, and we go in a whole lesson of this is why you don't buy things for yourself the week before your birthday.
But there is an ultimate version of us
Right.
that was created from the get-go. And really, I believe, and I believe you see this the same way, the purpose of our life is to work to get as close to that version as
Right.
possible. Will we ever get to that version before passing on? I don't think that we do. I really don't think
Probably
that we
not.
do.
I don't think we do either.
But that kind of is the fuel for the ongoing progress and betterment and growth. And so everything that we talk about here, 99.9% of it is going to be coming from that perspective, because it is, we believe, our mission to always be becoming the best version of you or the next best version of you. And that doesn't mean that the version of you right now just sucks. At the same time, there's always room for improvement. And it's okay to like be happy with your life right now or love lots of pieces of your life right now, but that doesn't mean there's still not room for improvement. And I think a lot of
Well,
people just let that go by the wayside and accept the way things are as good enough, and also let themselves off the hook for what they actually do have control over in their life and focus more on, it's all of these external people and circumstances that are causing my life to be the way it is. And what am I supposed to do about it? Bitch
and
and
here's the amazing
complain.
thing that loops back to where we started this conversation. If you spend focused, intentional time growing yourself, like you were just talking, then you have fewer of those surprises, like
Right.
all the way around, right? Like
Right.
it's amazing how that sort of like just like I promise you we didn't script it like this because we're not smart enough to have done that. But like that how this conversation it did come full circle there, right? And that if you are pursuing your growth, if you are chasing that ultimate version of yourself, like you're going to have fewer relationship surprises. You're going to
Right.
have fewer, I can't believe this happened to my health surprises. You're going to have fewer, all sorts of those surprises.
And
So,
not
like,
because those things aren't going to happen, right?
right,
But
right,
the fact is when you're in pursuit of growth, you begin learning that the journey is everything, and that as part of that, there are going to be surprises.
right,
But what makes it not so much of a shocker is because you're always preparing.
right,
Maybe not for that exact thing. I know we touched on this in a previous episode, but maybe not for that exact event, but you've been preparing via the fundamentals. So it may still be, in some cases, a shocker or a surprise, but you don't flip out as much because you're prepared. At the same time, to go back to the basis of what you said at the beginning, you don't have surprises when you are in tune with yourself in your life. And
right.
by
When
in
you're checking that
tune,
forecast,
when you're checking that forecast, when you're checking in with yourself, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, going like, hey, first of all, how am I doing? And I know I'm saying like I a lot, but it all starts with the individual. It all starts with, are you checking in on you? Because first and foremost, you have the most control over you.
right?
I mean, dare we say that's the only person you have control over, right? Is
That's
you.
what I'll argue.
So checking in with yourself and, how am I feeling mentally this week? And this is actually something that I do with my clients on my one-on-one calls and on my group coaching calls is how's your energy this week on a scale of 1 to 10? How's your energy this week? and they rate themselves. And then we don't stop there, because what I tell them, because some people do check in and they're like, oh, things are really shitty right now. And then
Right.
they just move on. Well, that is nothing for you. Okay, cool or not cool. Things are shitty right now, or you've rated yourself at a 6 when it comes to energy. Then you go to the next layer and ask the question, why am I at a 6? What have I been doing this week or not doing this week that has contributed to my energy level being at a 6?
Right.
Who have I been around this week? Who have I not been around this week that is most likely contributing to me being at a level 6? What has happened this week? Like, those are the kinds of questions that we can utilize in a check-in with ourselves to then go, oh, well, in order to fix this, I need to do more of this or do less of this or spend more time with these people and less time with these people.
Right.
Um, but that being said, that's work, right? To do. And when we're so caught up with everything outside of ourselves in life, we sometimes are like, I don't want to put in the work there, but we're doing such a disservice, and then find ourselves in these positions of feeling surprised that it happened. Because like you said, like, am I annoyed that you were like, hey, it snowed? Yeah, because I just want it to be summer for the love. But am I like surprised and shocked? No, not really. More so than you, because you check the weather every single day and I don't. But I also am aware I live in Kansas. This is
It's
expected. It's
February.
bound,
It's
it's
Kansas.
bound to happen. Um,
Right. Well, and it's, going back to your energy thing, like you hear so many people say something along the line, right? Like, oh, I'm always tired, I'm dragging ass, or my energy, they won't use such things as like my energy is a 6, right? But
right.
let's just sum up everything they say to every week they're saying to themselves, man, my energy's a 6 this week. Man, my energy's a 6 this week. Blah, 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 blah. If you don't ask yourself those follow-up questions, then how is it ever going to change? Right? Like if you don't investigate it, it nothing
I'll
is
tell you
going to
how.
change.
I'll tell you how. You,
No. Wisdom from
you,
upon the mount.
well, you think someone else is going to fix that for you. If you were, and I've been there, where, been in a shit situation in life and thinking that I had no control over it unless someone else changed what they were doing, or something specifically were to shift or happen in the country, then that will fix this. And,
Sure.
you know, that's just an awful strategy, because when we believe that the solution to our problems, the solution to our struggles, small or large, lay outside of ourselves, then you are constantly just playing a waiting game with your life, your one
Right.
life, for that knight in shining armor to come in and save you. And how long are you willing to wait for someone else to decide that they want to come save you, when at any moment of any day, you actually could save yourself?
Well, Jim Rohn, old leadership, self-development uh, guru, I guess, he always said something I really liked. He said, if you don't make your own plans for life, you're going to live your life by someone else's plans. And you know what they have planned for you? Not
What they have?
much.
Not much, or things to serve them and their
Well,
goals
right,
and
right.
focus,
So,
right?
but things to serve them is not much for you, right?
Right. Right.
I just always like that little punchline. Not much.
Well, and I like to keep bringing it back on even like more micro levels, because it's easy when you hear conversations like this to kind of do the whole, yeah, but what about this,
Oh yeah.
right?
What about itis? Terrible
And
disease.
an example of that is like, like in our relationship, um, when you wait on a spouse to do something differently, to get over a fight, for example, or to change something financially for your family, or any number of things, right? If you're listening, like you've probably been there if you've been in any sort of relationship, even if you're not married. And, it's one of the things that I continue to work on and learn from you in this area. I get very frustrated with you in this area. But, there are times that we have squabbles that you then say, well, like I got to fix this thing that maybe I brought up. Was like I was, frustrated with you or whatever. I wish I had an exact example right now, but I don't. Um, and I can be frustrated with that because I'm like, wait a minute, this is not, I wasn't saying that this is like totally on you. And your retort is usually something to the effect of, yeah, but I only have control over me. I don't
Right.
I don't have control over you. So if you believe that part of this is your responsibility, then you need to fix that aspect. But I simply need to take a look at, what do I have control over? How can I change things within myself or with my thoughts or with my actions that can help to make this situation better? And that doesn't mean that the other person doesn't have something to do in that as well, but you don't have control over that. And so just coming back to that personal responsibility of looking at, I have control over me. I get to decide. And the more power you keep within yourself, as opposed to giving it away to other people, waiting on other people to fix things, gosh, the more empowered life you get to live.
Well, and the thing is, so you like nailed 90% of that. The remaining 10% is, if we have a disagreement over something, and let's just, again, you express frustration at whatever, right? And then I say, okay, well, here's the aspect of that I'm going to fix. I'm taking ownership for my part, because that, again, to your point, that's the only thing I control, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if in the midst of that, I also go, and here's what you need to fix. You need to blah 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 blah. Like, people don't respond to that,
They do not.
right? Like, sometimes they will, sure, but more often than not, like, you're just going to prolong and deepen that conflict to no end, right?
Right.
Because it, I'm sure it happened, right? Again, the whole what about it thing. 99 times out of 100, that thing that, well, this is what you need to fix and change. Like, you're actively going to be like, well, there's no effing way I'm doing that now. Right.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
like,
because there's
again,
so, we are emotional human beings.
right.
And, emotions, we allow our feelings to get in the way so often with everything. um, and are not able to look at situations objectively. And we'd often be far better off if we could
Right.
just go to the objective first and foremost, but we allow emotions to get caught up. So instead of being able to see, wow, yeah, I really do need to work on that, I'm too busy being pissed off at you that you had the gall to tell me that I needed to make
Right.
that change. Right. And we
Right.
somehow, again,
Whereas,
it's a tit for tat thing, right? We want
hmm,
someone else to like own up and take responsibility for how they have wronged us, harmed us, made things more difficult for us. I mean, it's really like a deeper level thing, to be honest. And we don't have enough time to talk about that today, but it's really a deeper level thing of, we're actually seeking, sometimes, like, we're seeking for someone else to validate us, or to validate that our feelings are valid.
right.
That what we're saying, there's some validity there, that we as a person have validity. And in seeking that need to be fulfilled, we often are then unable to see the very thing that we could be doing to help make all of the things better in the process. So, like I said, that's a conversation for another day. There's
Indeed,
lots of
it
layers
is.
here.
There's a lot of layers
Um,
of that onion.
but yeah, I mean, I think the moral of this story here is that you will feel less caught off guard in life when you are taking personal responsibility and ownership to check your pulse
Right.
every now and then, and check the pulse of your relationships, and check the pulse of your finances and your spiritual I don't know
And
what's the word
again,
that goes with that, your spiritual journey,
life, journey.
life, whatever.
But again, not just check in on the pulse, right? But then ask the questions. Well, why?
Right.
Why is it this high? Why is it this low? What went right? What went wrong? What can I do better?
And I do want to make sure I say, because this is also something else that I hammer into my clients that I coach, is it's not just for things that aren't going the way that you'd like them to. It's also when you check in with yourself or in your relationship and you're like, man, like things are going really great right now in our sex life. Then the question becomes, why? What is it that we're doing? What is it that we're not doing? What is it that,
Right.
what have we been listening to? Where else, it's both ways, like not only
Right.
addressing things that
Right.
aren't going the way that you want, but also when things are going the way that you want to take note of that, because then you want to be like, I sure shit want to duplicate the hell out of that, because I want to keep experiencing this level of energy or this level of satisfaction in my life. So just want
Well,
to
that's
make
why
sure
I
we
don't
made that
like
point.
calling it getting lucky, right? I don't get lucky. I got a plan. Knock them boots. I'm not getting lucky.
Again,
I've executed the X's and O's.
phrases that are they really said anymore? Knock them boots.
Hey, man, I
Is
just
that
said it.
even, I don't even think that that is like,
Oh, would you prefer butter that toast?
I mean, I did say that one the other day. That's
You
actually
did.
probably better. I thought you were going to say something else, and I'm really glad that you didn't.
Nah, not today.
A phrase the Deweese men tend to throw out there, but we may not want to be that unfiltered today. Then we'd really rake in the comments.
We might. We
Or
might.
we might. So, well, good chat. It was a good one. I
It
think I
was a good
learned
one.
some
And
things.
I think, we all learned some things. And in closing, I just want to share a little Valentine's poem with everybody
Oh my.
that can kind of help you with some of these situations in life, right?
Before you do that, before you do that, thank you so much for listening to us. If you
Yes.
are gaining value out of the things that we're talking about or sharing, I mean, there may only be like a minute's worth of value some days, and that's okay, because 1 minute of value is better than none. But we just ask, like, you don't have to pay anything for this podcast.
Right.
But if you find it valuable, maybe share it with someone else in your life who
Right.
might
Send
get
it over
something
to your
out of it
bestie.
too. Like, that's all we ask of you in
Right.
listening. And we're always open to those comments and
Right.
feedback from you no
And
matter what.
likes and
So,
shares, all
all
the
right, on
things.
that note, let's hear this Shakespeare-ness from
And
you.
this is one of your favorites, so I know you're gonna love it.
Man, I can't wait. I love surprises. See what I did there?
Roses are red, violets are blue. It don't always be like that, but sometimes it do.
Sometimes I do. Ah, I love that one. I love that one.
See,
And
I
it's
knew it.
so true.
Right.
It don't
It
always,
don't
but
always
you
be
gotta
like that.
say it. You gotta put some swag on it. Like, it don't always be like that, but sometimes it do.
Sorry, I grew up on the mean streets of Haas Circle. We didn't necessarily have that particular flavor of swag in the neighborhood.
See you next week, everybody.
All again, I got that was the one she was thinking of. The Deweesemen like to say. You're welcome.